Okay, good morning, everyone. So before we start our discussion proper, could you please look at the given figure on our PowerPoint presentation? Consider the following two groups of equations. We have group A and group B. We have 3 items per each group. I am giving you 2 minutes to analyze the given. Okay, anyone, what can you say about the two groups? Let's start with group A. So ano po masasabi po natin sa group A? Any volunteer? What can you say about the equations given in group A versus the equations given in group B? Yes po? Yes, Rachel?
Sir, sa napansin ko po, yung sa group A po, yung yung expression po sa left side ay hindi po equal dun sa mga expressions po sa right side. For example po, sa first example sa group A, so x squared minus 1 ay hindi po equal sa 0. Kumbaga po, kung magka-plug in po tayo ng value po dun sa variable sa left side po, yung result po is hindi po magiging equal or hindi po magiging equivalent dun sa value po ng right side.
But there will come a time that they will be equal, right?
Opo, sir. Pero hindi po, as in, hindi po sa lahat po ng value na ipa-plug in mo po, magiging equal po sila.
Okay, so what can you say about group B naman po? Any volunteer?
Wala.
Yes po, what can you say about group B? Yes, Mr. Banal?
Sir, parang finactor out or sinimplify lang po yung nasa left side ng equation. Meaning to say po, equal po sila. Ang nangyari lang po, na-factor out po or na-simplify po yung nasa left side po.
Okay, summarizing, what can you say about group A and group B? Summarize, volunteer. Group A versus group B. Yes, Rachel?
Yung equations po, dun po sa group A, yung left and right expressions po ay hindi po equal. Wherein po, sa group B po, ang left and side equations po ay equal po.
Okay, so we have two terms for these two groups. Okay, pag sinabi natin na yung left side ay hindi kamukha ng right side, but there will come a time that they will be equal. We call that conditional equation because there will be certain conditions in which the left side will be equal to the right side. Again, group A are called conditional equation because there will be condition in which they will be equal. Hindi palaging equal sila. Merong mga condition na magiging equal sila. Just like for example, for A1, x squared minus 1 is equal to 0. Well, in fact, it is not equal to 0 if you plug in all the values of x. But there will be certain values of x that when you plug into the equation, the equivalent value is 0. And that is? Yes? Yes, Rachel?
1 po or
That is positive
negative.
1. Okay, that is positive 1. Pwede din siyang negative 1 since naka-square siya. So kapag kinuha natin yung square niya, it becomes positive. 1 minus 1 will be equal to 0. Well, sa group B naman, x squared minus 1 is just equal to the quantity x minus 1 times the quantity x plus 1 because that is the factored form of x squared minus 1. Okay? So, if the left side is equal to the right side, ano naman kayang tawag natin doon? Kung yung group A, ang tawag natin doon is conditional, ano naman kaya yung tawag natin sa group B wherein the left side is equal to the right side? Anyone? Okay, clue. For example, kambal ka, you're either this one or you're either yung isa. Dalaway uri ng kambal, di ba? It's either... So ano naman kaya tawag natin sa group B, guys? What do we call to group B? Yes, Miss De Los Santos?
Identity equation po.
Okay, we call that identity equations. Wherein, pag sinabi nating identity, all the values of x, there is no condition. Lahat ng values na x na kung saan equal yung left side, equal din dapat yung right side. Pag naglagay tayo ng value ng x na 5 sa left side, dapat yung equivalent value niya sa right side is the same. So, ganun po siya. Pag hindi siya naging magkamuka, or sa tingin natin sa una magkamuka siya, pero sa mga susunod na values hindi na siya magkamuka, it is not anymore called an identity. We'll be calling this as a conditional equation. So that is the difference between conditional and identity. Okay? So okay. So it is called an identity if it holds for all replacements of the variable for which both sides are defined and identified. Otherwise, it is called a conditional equation. That is, a conditional equation holds only for some and not for all replacements of the variable. So, ibig sabihin po nun ay hindi po pwede na sabihin natin na identity siya kung sa 2 o 3 values lang siya nagiging magkamuka. Kung naging ganun po yung result ng sagot natin, might as well consider it as conditional. Okay? Pag conditional kasi minsan may mga values talaga na na sa tingin mo nung una ay identity. Pero lalabas siya na pag tines mo yung iba pang values na mas madami, lalabas siya talaga na conditional equation siya. So let's have an example. Okay. So I'm giving you 1 minute. Is it identity or conditional equation? Let's see other hands naman po. Conditional po ba siya or identity? Any other hands po? Yes, Alphonse?
Sir, try lang po. Identity po.
Is it an identity? Yes or no?
Yes po.
Okay. So the first example is an identity. Why? Because the left side is equal to the right side. Because kung titingnan mo, etong right side niya, tapos etong left side, parang factored form itong left side. Etong pag tiningnan mo naman itong left side, tapos tiningnan mo yung right side, dinistribute lang naman natin yung value ni x. So therefore, ibig sabihin, it holds all the replacement value for x. So kung yung x mo ay 5, ganun din yung lalabas na sagot sa kanya. Okay, next. Okay, I'm giving you 30 seconds to look at the given example. Is this an identity or conditional equation? Yes, Lan?
Sir, kung ano po, my guess po, baka po identity, property po.
Bakit may baka?
Kaya ano, ano lang po sir, siguro po identity po since ano naman po sila parang equal po ganun. Pero di po ako entirely sure sir.
Okay, Miss Senados, what is your answer?
Identity po.
Paano siya naging identity?
Kasi po equal po yung left side sa right side.
So what is the factored form of the left side?
X po. X over X plus 1.
Ano yung magiging factor nung left side natin? If this is x squared plus x, it becomes
X
times
X times X
quantity
plus 1.
X plus 1 po.
x plus 1. Okay, how about the denominator? The denominator becomes
Quantity of X plus 1 times quantity of X plus 1.
so what happens to the x plus 1 on the numerator and the denominator? It will
Cancel po.
cancel out, and therefore it is equal to the right side, that is x over the quantity x plus 1. And this is an identity. Okay? So this is an identity. How about for this one? Any other hands po would like to answer? X times the quantity x minus 1 is equal to 0. Is this an identity or conditional equation? Yes, Mr. Malyare.
Conditional po.
Why?
Kasi po kapag true lang po siya kapag 1 po yung sinubstitute sa x po.
Okay, and it is not anymore true if you substitute the other values for x. For example, 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 times 10 is 90, and 90 is not anymore equal to 0. Therefore, there will be some conditions in which the equation will satisfy the given. Okay, and in that case, we call this as conditional equation. Okay, so that is conditional. So could you please try this one? I'm giving you 2 minutes, since some of the examples are answered by merely looking at it. The x minus 4 is equal to 2. 1/3 plus 1 over n is equal to 1 over 3n. X squared plus 2x plus 1 is equal to x plus 1, quantity squared. Sine x is equal to tan x over secant x. Miss Isip will answer the first one. Mr. Leonardo will answer the second one. Mr. Canlas will answer the third one. And Miss Gonzalez will answer the fourth one. We still have 1 minute. Okay? Miss Isip, what is your answer for 3x minus 4 is equal to 2? Is this an identity or conditional equation?
Sir, identity po.
Is this an identity? Why? Bakit siya naging identity?
Ano po? Pag
Is it
po
true?
yung,
Is it true to all values of x?
pag po kasi ni-replace yung, sinubstitute po yung 2 sa x, tapos nakukuha po sa 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 4 is equal to 2 po.
How about the other?
Sir?
How about the other values for x? For example, 1. 3 times 1.
Sir, 3.
Minus 4.
Ay,
Is it still true for x is equal to 1?
sir, no.
Therefore, if it is not true for all the other values, what will be your answer?
Condition po.
Conditional. Okay, maliwanag na. Kapag hindi siya totoo sa lahat ng, kapag hindi siya nag-satisfy sa lahat ng values ni x, therefore it is not an identity. It is a conditional equation. Is that clear, Miss Isip?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For the second one, Mr. Leonardo, 1/3 plus 1 over n is equal to 1 over 3n. Is this conditional or identity?
Sir, conditional po.
Is this conditional? Why? Sige, why? Why?
Hindi po ako sure, sir.
Why? Could you please try to simplify this part? Is this part equal to the right side? Is the simplified version of 1/3 plus 1 over 3n equal to 1 over 3n? Magkamukha lang po ba siya? Sige nga po, Mr. Leonardo. Is 1/3 plus 1 over n equal to 1 over 3n? If you simplify it, okay. What is your answer, Mr. Leonardo?
Hindi po ako sure, sir. Sorry po.
Okay, you would like to help Mr. Leonardo? Ha? Magkano?
Pag early bird 2,513.
Ay.
Tapos pagka January 16 onwards, 3,013.
Ay, wag niyan sumali.
Oo, ito mo ko din eh.
Okay, Mr. Humakio.
So yung simplified version po nun is y plus 3 over 3y po.
Bakit nagkaroon ng y?
Ay, n po, sir. Binapalitan ko po yung number kasi po mas, yung letter po y po yung ginagamit. N plus 3 over 3n po. Hindi po siya 1 over 3n kasi po, di ba pag po nag-divide po ka ng fraction, yung pagka po hindi po magkamukha yung nasa baba, hanapin po yung GCF, then divide and multiply po sa numerator.
Okay, so if in that case, the LCD must be 3n, it is not the GCF, Mr. Humakio.
Ay, LCD po.
The simplified version is n plus 3 over 3n. Therefore, the second example is not an identity, it is a conditional equation. Okay, so Mr. Canlas, what is your answer for the third one?
Sir, ano po? Identity po.
Why?
Sir, ano po? Pinactor out po yung yung right side.
Pinactor out yung right side or in-expand?
Opo.
Okay. Pareho lang naman siya. So pag pinactor out natin yung left side, magiging yung right side. Pag in-expand natin yung right side, magiging yung left side. Okay, so the correct answer for number 3 is an identity. How about for the fourth one? Yes, Miss Gonzalez.
Sir, narinig niyo po ba ako?
Hindi.
Ay, po, audio.
Hello.
Sir, sir, try lang po. Sir, okay
Hello.
na po?
Hello.
Sir, okay
Christine.
na po?
Hindi ko marinig si Christine. Ano ba yan?
Sir,
Hello.
sir, okay na po?
Hello.
Sir,
Sige, Christine, proceed.
sir, ano po, sir, since po, di ba po sa may left side po kasi, or yung left side hand po natin is sin x na po, tapos nag-equal po siya sa tan x over secant x po. So, para po ma-verify po natin siya, so-solve po natin yung sa right side, which is yung tan x is equal to secant x. So, mag-equal po siya sa yung tan po kasi is nag-equal po sa sin x equals cosecant x. And then yung secant naman po is nag-equal sa 1 over cosecant x po. And then it will be equal to sin peta over cosine peta po. And then hindi para po sa akin hindi po siya it will be considered po as conditional po since yung time peta po kasi yung nag-equal sa sin x over cosecant x po. Tama po ba?
Hello, Christine, anong sagot mo? Christine, anong sagot mo? Hello?
Sir, yung sa una ko pong solve is ano po, conditional po. Pero nag-solve po ulit ako, lumabas po is
Ang bilis mo naman mag-solve.
Sir, pinagkakasiyan ko lang po yung table po.
Wow.
Sir, magiging ano po siya, since yung tan x po is equal to sin x over cosine x po, and then yung secant naman po is equal to 1 over cosine x po. So, ang mangyayari po is yung tan, mag-i-equal po siya sa sin x over cosine x po. Tapos yung secant x naman po is mag-equal naman po siya sa 1 over cosine x po. And then mag-equal po siya sa sin x over cosine x times cosine x po over 1. And then, pag po pinag-multiply po natin siya, maka-cancel po, cancel po yung cosine x po. So, sin x times 1 po will be equal to sin x po. So, identity po.
Okay. So, in this case, ano ba yung alam natin? Sige, ganito na lang. Kasi hindi pa naman natin napag-aaralan yung identity rule sa mga trigonometric functions. Maglagay na lang tayo ng values dito. Maglagay tayo ng values ng alam natin na sign. Okay, for example, do you know the value of sin 30? Anyone? Ano po ba yung value ng sin 30 natin?
1/2 po.
1/2. Okay, so lagay natin dito 1/2 is equal to, what is tangent 30? Since napag-aralan naman natin siya. What is tangent?
Square root of 3 over 3.
3 over 3 po.
Square root of 3
Over 3.
Wait, insert equation. Square root of 3 over 3. Okay. How about for reciprocal ng secant is cosine? What is cosine 30?
Square root of 3
Square
over
root of 3 over 2.
Square root of
3
3
over 2.
over 2 po.
Square root of
over 2. Okay, so this becomes, dahil secant siya, that becomes 1 over square root of 3 over 2. So if we will be simplifying this one, so kung isi-simplify po natin siya, magiging ganito po siya. So magiging equal siya sa, maglagay tayo ulit ng equation. Let's insert an equation. So mali ako na napag-insertan. Hindi po dapat doon, dito. So let's insert an equation. So for this one, ito ay magiging square root of 3 over 3, and then sana pala hindi ko na inano. Square root of 3 na lang agad lagay ko dito. Okay, square root of 3 over 3, and then i-multiply natin siya. So multiply natin sa simplified version ng denominator. So 1 over square root of 3 over 2. So that becomes what? That becomes, ano po yung magiging equivalent form ng 1 over square root of 3 over 2?
Square root of 3 over 2 lang po.
Square root of 3 over 2 ba siya? Sa board ko na siya sagutan para hindi tayo mahirapan. So we have sin x is equal to tan x over secant x. So we assign value. So yung na-assign natin value is sin 30. Okay. Saan nga po ulit equal yung sin 30 natin?
1/2 po.
1/2. Are we sure that sin 30 is equal to 1/2?
Opo.
Yes po.
So we are given here tangent 30. Tangent 30 over secant 30. Okay? Again, what is tangent 30? Tangent 30 is
Square root of 3
Square root
square root of 3 over
3 po.
3 over secant 30. Ilan po yung secant 30 natin? Sa napag-aralan natin before.
2 is square root of
2 square root of 3 over 3.
2 square root of 3 over 3. Okay. So in this case, this becomes square root of 3 over 3 times 3 over 2 square root of 3. Right? This is equal to this one. So all we have to do is to cancel out square root of 3, cancel out 3, therefore it becomes 1/2. And 1/2 is equal to 1/2. So if we do not know yet the trigonometric identities for the values of tangent and other trigonometric values, since we know the given values for the exact value of trigonometric functions, pwede na natin gamitin agad yon. So we know sine, we know tangent. As long as these are special angles, which contains 30, 60, 45, and 90, we will be able to solve for this one. Okay, so our lesson for today is about trigonometric identity. Okay, so our lesson is about trigonometric identity. So ano po ba yung pag-aaralan natin sa trigonometric identities? So na-discuss ko na sa inyo yung iba't ibang type ng trigonometric identity na meron tayo, or yung iba't ibang equation na meron yung bawat trigonometric identity. Pati yung SOHCAHTOA na-discuss ko na sa inyo, pero isa-isahin na lang natin siya ulit. So we have the basic trigonometric identity. So we have sine theta, cosine theta. We also have tangent theta. We have cosecant theta. We have secant theta. And we also have cotangent theta. Okay. These are the basic identity, trigonometric identity. We also have the reciprocal identity. So what are reciprocal identities? So when we say cosecant theta, this is equal to 1 over sine theta. When we have secant theta, this is equal to 1 over cosine theta. When we have cotangent theta, this is equal to 1 over tangent theta. Okay, or pag sinabi naman natin na sine theta, this is equal to 1 over, saan equal yung sine theta?
1 over cosecant.
1 over cosecant theta. If we have cosine theta, that is equal to 1 over secant theta. If we have tangent theta, that is equal to 1
over cotangent theta.
Okay. So, since we have this one, meron din po tayong tinatawag na quotient identity. Okay. Madederive natin lahat to sa pamamagitan ng triangle po. Okay. So, sa triangle na meron tayo, for example, meron tayong circle dito. This is our theta. This is A. This is B. Or pagbaliktarin natin, pwede din kung saan mas okay sa'yo. This is A, this is B, pwede po yun. Okay. So ano po bang alam natin sa sin theta? Ano yung na-discuss ko sa inyo regarding sin theta? Parang medyo malayo, ilapit natin. Ayan, para kitang-kita. Yan. What do we know about sin theta if this is theta?
Equals to opposite over hypotenuse po.
Opposite over hypotenuse, right? Okay. So, if in this case, sabihin natin this is H. Okay. So, opposite. What is our opposite side?
A po.
A over
H.
H. Okay. Cosine theta,
Adjacent over hypotenuse.
so that is B over H. Tangent theta,
Sit over.
tangent theta, ilan po yung tangent theta natin?
Opposite over adjacent.
Opposite. So what is the opposite side?
A over B.
B. Okay. So from here, masasabi natin that yung cosecant theta natin is H over A. Masasabi din natin yung secant theta natin is A over H. At yung cotangent theta natin ay masasabi natin na B over A. Isn't it? Tama po ba siya? Since these are the reciprocal identities. Tama po? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes po.
Okay. But since we have here a triangle, this is the derivation. Gusto ko malaman nyo yung derivation para sa susunod. Hindi kayo mahirapang maghanap ng identity using unit circle. Okay, since this is B, this is A, and this is the hypotenuse. Since this is a unit circle, what can we say about the hypotenuse?
The hypotenuse is 1 po.
The hypotenuse is 1. Therefore, if we are dealing with hypotenuse is equal to 1, we could say that sin theta is equal to A. Isn't it? Tama po ba? Since the hypotenuse is equal to 1. Tama po ba? Is sin theta equal to A?
Opo, sir.
Okay. Cosine theta is equal to
B po.
B. Okay. And what can we say about tangent theta? What can we say about tangent theta? Tangent theta is A over B. Therefore, we could say that tangent theta is what? It is
Equal to sine over cosine po.
sine theta over cosine theta. And that is one of the example of quotient identity. Are we clear? Are we clear po? That is quotient identity. Since we are dividing, it is a quotient identity. Next, we also know cotangent theta. Cotangent theta is B over A. But what do we know about B? Therefore, we could say that cotangent theta is, what is B?
Cosine theta po.
Cosine
Or
theta.
sine theta.
And sine theta. Therefore, that is cotangent theta. And these are the two, tama ba yung spelling ng quotient ko? Tama ba?
Opo, sir.
Tama lang?
Tama po.
Opo.
Okay. So these are the two examples of quotient identity. Okay. So alam na po natin yung quotient identity. Dalawa po siya. Okay? So meron din ako ibang mga nababasa, ang tawag naman nila product identity. Pag sinabing product, pag pinag-multiply mo naman tong dalawa na to, sa sine naman siya equal. Pag pinag-multiply mo tong dalawang to, sa cosine naman siya equal. Pero usually yung ibang books na nabasa ko, wala naman. Konti lang yung nabasa ko na meron na ganun. Pero sa lahat, ang tawag dito is quotient identity. Okay. Lagi mong tatandaan na if you would like to know the other identities, all you have to do is to draw a unit circle. At tatandaan mo that if you have a unit circle, the radius is always equal to 1. At doon mo matatagpuan lahat ng values na meron to. Okay. Next, we have the basic. Ito po yung basic identity, reciprocal identity, quotient identity, and yung last one, apat po kasi siya eh. Yung trigonometric identities natin. Yung last na trigonometric identity natin na type is what we call as Pythagorean identity. Okay? Pythagorean identity. Nakikita pa po ba? Ayan, nakikita pa naman. Okay. So, lapit ko lang ng konti para hindi kayo mahirapan. Yan. Okay. So, sa Pythagorean identity natin, actually, madali lang naman na i-identify yung Pythagorean identity. Okay. Look at this again, the triangle. Okay. Lagi mong tatandaan na diyan ka sa triangle na yan magbabase, guys. This is B, this is A, this is H. Pero palitan na natin siya ng mga values na alam natin. What do we know about H again, guys? What do we know about H? This is?
1 po.
1.
1.
What do we know about A? Is this A pa rin? Not
Sine
anymore. We call this as sine theta. Is this B?
Cosine theta po.
This is cosine theta. Okay. Look at this. Pythagorean identity. Kung tinawag siyang Pythagorean identity, dapat na-derive siya sa pamamagitan ng
Pythagorean theorem po.
very good. Pythagorean theorem. And what do we know about Pythagorean theorem? A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. Our A is sine theta. Therefore, that is sine theta quantity squared plus our B is cosine theta quantity squared and our C squared is 1 squared. Simplifying, if you are given a trigonometric function and it is being squared, all you have to do is to square the function and not the angle. Sine here is the function, theta here is the angle. So kung naka-square siya, wala tayong pakialam dun sa angle. Ang ini-square natin is yung function. Are we clear? Maliwanag po ba yun?
Yes po.
Okay,
Yes,
therefore, this becomes sine squared theta plus what happens to cosine theta squared? It becomes
Cosine squared.
Cosine squared theta.
Theta is equal to 1. And this is one example of Pythagorean identity. Are we clear?
Yes po.
Yes po, sir.
Yan lang yung tatandaan mo. Kasi yung dalawang susunod ay makukuha mo na sa pamamagitan ng mathematical manipulation. Okay, eto lang palagi yung tatandaan mo. Sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta is equal to 1. Since nakuha natin siya sa triangle na to. Okay, so ganun ka-effective yung unit circle. So wag mong kakalimutan kahit na makagraduate ka na ng senior high, pagdating mo ng college, basta alam mo lang si unit circle, alam mo si Pythagorean theorem, makukuha mo lahat yung values ng different identities na meron tayo. Okay, so from here, we are given sine squared theta. Ito po yung number 1 na Pythagorean identity natin. From here, we are given sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta is equal to 1. Pwede pa nating ilabas yung iba pang Pythagorean identity, wherein may dalawa pang natitira. What are we going to do? The first one is to divide all the terms by sine squared theta. Divide all the terms by sine squared theta. Okay. What is sine squared theta divided by sine squared theta? That is 1. Plus, what is cosine over sine? Tinuro ko sa inyo kanina, what is cosine over sine? It is a quotient identity. Cosine over sine, that is?
Cotangent
Cotangent. Cotangent lang ba? Cotangent squared theta is equal to, what is 1 over sine? It is a reciprocal identity. 1 over sine is?
Cosecant
Cosecant ba siya? That is cosecant squared theta. And this is the second Pythagorean identity. Are we clear? Maliwanag po ba?
Opo.
Okay, next. Balik tayo sa first Pythagorean identity, that is sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta is equal to 1. And in this case, we will be dividing all the terms by
cosine
squared theta.
squared theta.
Cosine squared theta. Cosine squared theta. Cosine squared theta. But what do we know about sine over cosine? That is a quotient. Sine over cosine is?
Tangent squared theta.
Tangent squared
Therefore,
theta.
this becomes tangent squared theta. Plus, cosine over cosine, that becomes?
1.
1 is now equal to, what is 1 over cosine? Reciprocal.
Secant squared theta po.
Secant squared theta. At nakuha na natin ang lahat ng Pythagorean identity. First Pythagorean, sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta is equal to 1. Second Pythagorean, 1 plus cosine squared theta is equal to cosecant squared theta. Third Pythagorean identity, tan squared theta plus 1 is equal to secant squared theta. Madali lang naman siya kasi walang nauulit. Magkasama, sine, cosine. Magkasama, cotangent, cosecant. Dahil pareho silang co-function. Magkasama, tangent, secant. Yun lang tatandaan mo. Maliwanag? Magkasama si sine, equal siya kay 1. Magkasama si cotangent saka si cosecant. 1 plus cotangent squared theta is equal to cosecant squared theta. Parehong co-function, magkasama. Magkasama naman po si tangent saka si secant. Na una si tangent, tangent squared theta plus 1 is equal to secant squared theta. Are we clear? Is this clear?
Yes po.
Yes po,
Okay.
sir.
So, let's have a simplified version. Hindi ko na ituturo sa inyong hexagonal form kasi ang tinuro ko naman sa inyo is yung mas madali wherein you are given a triangle and you'll be able to derive all the trigonometric identities. So let's have an example. Mag-simplify tayo. Okay? Simplify po tayo para hindi tayo. Okay, 14. Pwede ko na po bang burahin to? Oo, pwede na. Since alam nyo naman na yun, madali lang naman siyang i-derive. If sin theta, asan po yung example ko na sin theta? If sin theta is equal to negative 3/4, and cosine theta is greater than 0, find the other find cosine theta. Okay? Okay. If sin theta is negative 3/4 and cosine theta is greater than 0, find cosine theta. Binigyan ulit tayo ng conditions. If we are given this condition, cosine theta is greater than 0, therefore we could say that cosine theta is positive. Okay, mag-graph tayo. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. Quadrant 1, all positive. Sa quadrant 2, sino po yung positive sa quadrant 2?
Sine.
Add sugar. So si sine at si cosecant. 2, tangent, cotangent. C, that is cosine and secant. Okay. So ibig sabihin, sine theta is negative. So that is negative 3/4, while cosine theta is greater than 0, positive. Therefore, dito lang po positive si cosine at dito po negative si sine. So ibig sabihin, matatagpuan natin siya sa quadrant 4. Is this clear? Yes or no?
Yes po.
Okay, so sa quadrant 4 natin siya matatagpuan. So, pinapahanap sa atin si cosine theta. We know sine theta. Using Pythagorean identity, pag before kasi triangle yung ginagamit natin, tama ba? Nakapagsagot na tayo ng ganito eh, but we are using a triangle. Yes or no?
Yes po.
Yes. In this case, we will not anymore be using the triangle method. What we'll be using is the Pythagorean. So binigyan ka ng sine, pinapahanap sa'yo si cosine. Doon sa Pythagorean identity na meron tayo, saang identity magkasama si sine sa si cosine? Saang identity magkasama si sine at si cosine?
Sa una po.
Sa una. Therefore, this becomes sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta is equal to 1. Okay. Sine theta is given as negative 3/4. So this is negative 3/4 quantity squared plus cosine squared theta is equal to 1. Mahanap natin ngayon si cosine squared theta. Therefore, we could say that cosine squared theta is equal to 1 plus 3/4 squared. That is negative 3/4 squared. Tama po ba? Simplify, this becomes 1 plus negative 3/4 squared, that is negative 3, 9, negative 4, that is 16. Tama po ba?
Opo.
Yes or no? Or, hindi kaya dapat negative to?
Opo, sir.
Hindi kaya dapat negative to sa tingin nyo? Since this is positive, nilipat natin sa kabila, this must be negative.
Negative.
Okay? Okay. So, simplify na po natin. This is 16. 16 times 1 is 16. 16 divided by 16 is 1 times negative 9. That is minus 9. Therefore, what is 16 minus 9? 16 minus 9 is?
7 po.
7. That is 7/16. We could say that cosine theta, cosine squared theta is 7/16. Get the square root of both sides. Therefore, we'll now be able to determine cosine theta that is plus minus 7 square root of 7 over what is square root of 16?
4 po.
4. Okay. But since we have two values, one positive, one negative, ano pong sabi sa atin? Cosine theta is greater than 0. And what do we know about cosine theta greater than 0?
Positive po.
Positive. Therefore, the correct answer is positive square root of 7 over 4. And that is the correct answer. Are we clear?
Yes po.
Okay, maliwanag po
Yes
tayo
po.
doon. Okay, so may questions pa po ba? Magta-time na pala. May questions pa po? You still have questions? Clarifications? Meron pa po bang tanong?
Sir,
Mr. Angeles?
di po ba sir matutuloy yung face-to-face classes?
Hindi pa siguro. Gusto mo na ba? Delikado pa eh.
Yes po, gusto ko na po pumasok.
Kami ayaw ba namin? May questions pa po ba? May klase kayo ng 10, right? Tama ba? May klase kayo kay Mamalu ngayon?
Meron po.
Meron. May kaduktong pa kasi siya sana, pero i-discuss ko na lang siya sa Wednesday. Meron pa kasing iba pang hindi na siya fundamental identity, pero meron pang iba. Yung half angle, yung twice the angle. So, i-discuss ko pa sana siya, saka yung proving trigonometric identities. So, i-discuss pa natin siya. So, sa Wednesday na lang siguro yun. Agahan na lang natin sa Wednesday. Okay, may questions pa po regarding this one. So, we'll just continue our discussion sa Wednesday. Okay. So, clarifications po. Questions regarding our discussion for this morning? Meron po ba?
Wala na po.
Is our discussion clear? Maliwanag po ba yung discussion natin ngayong umaga?
Yes po, sir.
I'll just upload your for module 6 sa Wednesday kasi yung module 7 naman.